Well, good morning. It's good to be here and share some insights on housing and real estate, which is my favorite subject, obviously, for well over 30 years now. So if you're someone who maybe this last year looked to purchase a home or you know somebody that was out there in the market purchasing a home, you probably may have experienced lack of choices or multiple offer situations. We're in a bit of a great market, I guess you might say, for some, and not so fun for others if you want lots of choices in purchasing. So what I'm going to do is give you some statistics of where we were last year and try to give you some crystal ball outlooks for this year. Most of these statistics will come from the Association of Realtors MLS directly, so that's where my numbers were generated. So let's get moving. Okay, the average sale price from 2014 from 2015 jumped dramatically. We saw it was a 5% increase, where the previous years over the past 5 years had been 1% to 2%, 2.5%. So we've really doubled our increase in the average sale price, and we're up to $224,000 now for the average sale price. The inventory and numbers sold, this is where it starts to get a little interesting, and it gets even more interesting on the next slide. The sales for 2015 were 4,135 single-family homes that went through our MLS. The previous year was 3,477. So that's a 19% increase in sales. So yeah, the market was really good. There were a lot of homes that moved through the market. Previous years, 5%, then 13%, and then down during recession years was pretty much flat, but still very active. So when we keep going and talk about inventory, and this slide's monthly inventory tracked for the previous, or for the 5 years previous, but I'll just refer to December where we ended up this year. We ended up with 598 active listings on the market, which is unforeseen territory for us. Our market really is very healthy at, could be 1,200, 1,400 homes on the market. That's a pretty balanced market for buyer and seller. This would indicate that we've got a bit of a seller's market going on, lack of choices for buyers. Will probably indicate we're going to see prices moving up a little more rapidly. And we hope that it will spur more new construction, and of course new construction is dependent upon the banks and their willingness to lend, and so hopefully they will be good partners in recognizing some of these statistics, as our area is in dramatic need of housing based on these numbers. So for new construction, this past year, the Home Builders Association tracks building permits, and we were up 9% this past year for new construction, and the total value for single-family homes was $333 million worth of new construction on single-family residential, which is a very healthy number. Overall permits, including all commercial, everything else wrapped in, was $833 million in new construction. So it's super exciting, I think, that we're getting close to $1 billion in new construction each year. And I think some of these projects coming up, the commercial projects, the bigger projects out at Hanford, will hopefully send us over the top. But with that said, with the new construction, adding jobs and so forth, we're going to be needing housing. Based on our current numbers here, we're in lack of housing right now. So I'm going to touch on a couple of other aspects of the market, and that is duplex sales. As we're seeing more and more people being forced into these, especially in the first-time home buyer is being pushed into possibly looking at a duplex or a fourplex, because they're below $250,000 for a single-family home is very, very hard to find. So we're seeing good increases also in this side of the market. The average price was up 12% to $185,000 for the average duplex, and we had an increase of over 50% in turnover in that part of the market. It's still not a huge part of the market, but I think it is something worth looking at when you're looking at the whole market. Fourplexes. Another possibility for the first-time home buyer, as you can get financing to live in a unit and rent out the other 4 units, so it's a good option. And that saw an increase of 5% over the previous year in price, and also a doubling of the units sold from the previous year. So the next segment of the market will be apartments. And if you can't find a home to buy, you may have to look for an apartment to rent. Well, there aren't very many of those either. So we have, this is just average monthly rents, and you can see that Richland leads the market. And we, in our office, we do a rental survey, a comprehensive rental survey of all apartment buildings twice a year. And so we're seeing increases in rents. Richland increased 8%, Kennewick 5%, Pasco's a little slower at 2% from the previous year. But we have seen an increase in occupancy, and all the occupancies in all the cities is well above 95%. I think Richland's about 98, Kennewick's about 98, Pasco's fluctuates between 95 to 96. So with that, there is a need for housing. We do have some new apartment complexes coming online, I think, this next year under construction, which will help. But for the people moving into the market, we're going to be looking at some interesting, well, how do you put it? Multiple offer situations. You know, when we go back to looking at house sales and making an offer, we're seeing days on the market, sometimes hours on the market. So that's how active things are. So there's particular pressure on the lower end, not lower end, but the mid-level, the $250,000 and below home prices. Lots of pressure on that segment. Lesser opportunities for the first-time home buyers. They will be staying in the rental properties longer, which slows the turnover in rental properties, and I think we're going to see some pressure with rents. We're seeing pressures with sale prices. So all around, I think we're being pressured, which is, I think, fabulous, although we're going to have a need for housing. It's very unpredictable about where this year is going to go. I believe we will still continue to see the double-digit increase in potential house price sales because of the inventory right now. At 598, this is, you know, we have not seen this ever. So it's uncharted territory. There's a reason why I have a crystal ball on my desk, because we don't know what sometimes this brings us, but we're not sure what interest rates are going to do. They seem to be steady at this point in time. But it's an election year. We never know what that brings. So we'll do our best to provide housing as best we can here through the Tri-City Association of Realtors. And I just want to thank you all for having me.